Hi, good day sa inyo, UMO 5 students. For today, we'll be discussing about our last topic for our first quarter. And one of the topics under major issues affecting the poor. So, primarily, nga, poverty. When we talk about poverty, in relation dun sa pinanood nyo na um, documentary regarding poverty in the Philippines during the pandemic. So it's basically culmination nung napanood nyo at ilalapat nyo dito sa lesson natin when it comes to poverty. So this images basically sums up the idea of what we have when we say kahirapan, poverty sa Pilipinas. Ito yung visual imagery na na nakikita natin, na ihahambing natin, na ididikit natin sa ideya ng kahirapan sa Pilipinas. Similarly, these images, primarily sa Metro Manila area or sa mga metro area sa Pilipinas. And even today, even those who are basically living a better lifestyle pre-pandemic, nung nagkaroon ng pandemya, marami sa mga kababayan natin ang na nasa lower middle class, bordering to lower class or mahirap talaga ay nawala ng kabuhayan at karamihan sa kanila ay bumagsak doon sa tinuturing nating poverty threshold. So, the thing is, poverty is something that's happening. Okay? It's happening around us for who knows how long kung tutuusin, no? Pero malinaw sa Pilipinas na simula nung naging malaya tayo ay malaya, no, as a country, independent nation, poverty had been a part of our history. Siguro kahit anong bansa naman. But the thing with poverty is there are a lot of reasons kung bakit may kahirapan, bakit may poverty. But to fully understand kung ano nga ba, bakit may kahirapan, we need first to understand what poverty means. Poverty is the denial of choices and opportunities, a violation of human dignity according to United Nations. In a more practical sense, it's the lack of basic capacity to participate effectively in a society. Lack of basic capacity in terms of not having food, not having clothes, inability or lack of proper schooling, inability to go to school, um, health or medical um, finances, no, pambayad sa ospital, clinic, walang mapuntahang clinic, walang lupa na pagmamay-ari para magtanim o kung meron kang nagtatanim ka man, yung lupang pinagsasakahan mo ay hindi sa iyo. The thing is, it means susceptibility to violence. Sino nga ba yung mas madalas na na nagagawan, no, na hihirapan sa lipunan? Sino ba yung mga madalas na nawawalan ng hindi binibigyan ng hustisya? Okay? Sa paningin natin ay okay lang na mawala ang buhay nila. The thing is, poor are very much susceptible to violence. Similarly, implies living on marginal and fragile environments. Violence, hindi lang in the form of another person doing violent act towards you, but even violence in terms of living in a condition that is not suitable to have a better life. The thing is, those people living on marginal or fragile environments without access to clean water or sanitation. And kaya nga nasa discussion natin, ang pinakamagandang visual image na masasabi dito is yung slums. No? They are living in areas na sobrang dikit-dikit sila. Sobrang sila doon, compressed sila doon. There's barely any room to move. Similarly, yung kanilang lugar kung saan sila dumudumi, nagtatapon, umiihi, even for some naglalaro mga bata, ay isang lugar, isang creek kung nasan sila. And the thing is, those statements tries to define what poverty is. Hindi lang sa Pilipinas hindi lang sa Pilipinas, even other countries. The thing is, poverty is also the lack of income and productive resources to ensure sustainable livelihood. Ibig sabihin, hindi ang kahirapan na isang bagay na hindi lang isang beses nangyayari or isang araw nangyayari. Sustainable, no? Sustained activity. Kung kayo patuloy na nabubuhay sa isang kahit isang tuka, nabubuhay ka na umaasa sa 4 buwan o 6 na buwan na kontrata ng trabaho at walang kasiguraduhan kung may trabaho ka pa afterwards. And that's to some extent considered as part of poverty. Similarly, it's also characterized by the lack of participation in decision-making in civil, social, and cultural life, wherein yung mahihirap ay walang boses. Nagkakaroon lamang sila ng boses pag kailangan na ng mga politiko na bumoto sila. But for the majority of the 3, 4, 5, 6 years, na hiningan sila ng boto at binigyan sila ng boses for that one particular moment, nakakalimutan sila. Because the thing is, when it comes to poverty, primarily in the Philippines, no, maisingit ko na lang is, walang malinaw, walang long term. Try yung i-assess yung policies right now sa Pilipinas. Walang long term walang long term pang matagalang solusyon para iangat. Kung hindi man sugpuin yung kahirapan kasi malabong mangyari yun. But at the very least, hindi 1/3 ng populasyon ng Pilipinas ay nasa level na mahirap or at kalahati ng populasyon ng Pilipinas, no, ay malaki yung tsansa na bumagsak do sa tinatawag nating poverty threshold. So the thing with poverty, at paulit ko at nasabi ko na rin kanina, merong iba't ibang types nito. Absolute poverty, ito yung absolute poverty is defined through a certain threshold. Yun nga yung sasabi ko threshold kanina. Poverty threshold. Pilipinas, according sa PSA, poverty threshold is at 9,063 pesos 75 cents a month para sa pamilya ng 5 or 60 pesos per day. Let's assume na minimum wage earner ka. Kumikita ng 10,000 kada buwan. So, kung tutusin sa statistika ng Pilipinas, hindi ka pasok sa poverty threshold. Hindi ka considered na mahirap. However, the reality is isang linggo ka lang mawala ng hindi makapasok for medical reasons, no? Yung 10,000 yon ay mawawalang parang bula. Bukod sa hindi mo makukuha as sweldo mo, lalo kung wala kang leave dahil contractual ka, ikaw ay malaki yung chance, no? Malaki yung chance na ipanggastos mo pa yon sa medical bills mo, no? As such, majority, 50%, I think, na better to say is, sige, 50%, no, ng mga Pilipino susceptible sa bumagsak sa poverty threshold. Similarly, meron isa pang type ng poverty, relative poverty, wherein poverty can be defined variedly depending from one country to another, or from one society to another. Being rich in the Philippines does not indicate being rich in the US or some other first world country. Or similarly, if more so, living standards are not the same in all parts of the Philippines. Big cities may require more expensive lifestyle. As such, there are areas na mas sa kung ikaw ay middle class sa parting ito ng Mindanao, may chance na pagpunta mo na Maynila na mas mataas yung or Metro City, Metro Cebu, Metro Davao, na mas mataas yung cost of living, bababa yung iyong socio-economic status. Because poverty can be relative sa lugar na nasaan ka. Similarly, meron tinatawag na subjective poverty. Can refer to poverty to whether or not people feel themselves to be in financial hardship. So, the main characteristics of the poor in the Philippines is that majority of the poor in the Philippines lives in rural areas and work in the agricultural sector, mostly farmers and fishermen. In the urban areas, such as Metro Manila, they are found in slums and informal sector or informal settlements. They have large families, 6 members or more. Yung iba pa nga ay basketball team. So 12, no? In 2/3 of poor families, the head of the household typically has elementary education or below. Kaya sila yung madalas ang mga trabaho nila ay yung mga contractual na trabaho, no? Walang sense of permanence sa kanilang mga nakukuhang trabaho at limitado lang kung ano yung mga pwede nilang magawa dahil sa edukasyon, level na edukasyon na kanila lamang naabot. They have no or few assets, no? And minimal access to credit. A major income source of the poor is from enterprise income, informal sector activities, primarily yung pangangalakal. Kasi karamihan sa mga settlements ay nakatira sa mga lugar na malapit sa, not necessarily ngayon, no? But some areas, lalo yung dating Baseco compound, ay malapit sa lugar na tapunan ng basura. Such, yung kanilang kinabubuhay ay related dun sa lugar kung nasaan sila. Significant segment of the poor households are chronically poor. Ibig sabihin, defined by its duration, usually more than 5 years, and for some, buong buhay nila. Sila ay second generation, third generation na sa lugar na yun, na matuturing ang mga sarili nila na mahirap. Dimensions of poverty. No? So, kanina pinag-usapan natin yung mukha ng kahirapan sa Pilipinas. Ngayon, tignan natin kung ano yung mga dimension, ano yung mga mukha naman ng poverty as it is. Hindi lang sa Pilipinas, pero even with other countries. Pero better, no, focus natin is on the Philippine context. So, dimensions of poverty, number 1 is income and wealth inequality. Ibig sabihin, may kahirapan because merong disparity when it comes to magkano yung kinikita ng isang grupo ng tao compared sa isang grupo ng tao. It's reported daw na by PSA that elevated poverty incidence across 5 of 9 basic indicators with the poverty rate estimated at 21.6% in 2015, no? So, farmers, fishermen, and children of low income posted highest poverty rates at this particular percentages. The thing with income and wealth inequality is that those who are considered as low prestige occupations, no, or white collar, no, na trabaho, na labor, sila yung mas susceptible sa mas mababang income, okay? Mas mababa yung kanilang kinikita. And the thing is, sa Pilipinas, income is very much unevenly distributed throughout our population. Mas madaling masabi yan dito sa example na to. Okay? Makikita nyo dito sa example na to, sinasabi na wala pang 2% ng Pilipinas, ng pamilyang Pilipino ang pasok doon sa tinuturing natin na upper class. Wala pang 2%. And maniniwala talaga yun doon sa konsepto ng tinatawag nating elite few. Okay? So yan, 0.8% yung mga mayayaman, milyonaryo, at 1.6% yung mga pamilya or 364,000 yung mga upper class. Okay? Similarly, ito yung pinaka-importante, 29% of families, 6 million families, 6.5 million families ng mga Pilipino as of 2015 yun. Ewan natin ngayon at malamang hindi yan nabawasan because of the pandemic, ay living below or nandun sila bordering do sa poverty threshold na 9,000 pesos. And yung iba, 37% of families, no? 37% of families ay nasa 10K to 21K a month. A month yung kanilang kinikita ng sino man nagtatrabaho sa kanilang pamilya. Some of which naparehas na nanay at tatay. Kaya huwag kayong magtaka kung bakit may mga Pilipinong umaalis ng Pilipinas. Kahit anong sipag mo dito, hindi ganun kataas yung kikitain mo despite yung trabahong may bibigay mo. Kaya majority ng mga Pilipino are wanting to leave this country because of that inequality, wide gap when it comes to income and wealth inequality na meron sa bansang ito. The thing is, when it comes to poverty, may malaking kinalaman din yung power distribution. Yung sa kuryente, okay? But power in terms of who have direct influence over the behavior of the other. In most countries, small proportion of families control most of the nation's wealth, which shapes the agenda of the entire society. At sa Pilipinas, kung sino yung mga top 20 siguro, na pinakamayayaman sa Pilipinas 20 years ago, sila pa rin hanggang ngayon. Sila pa rin. Hindi halos gumalaw. Sad reality is, while our neighboring countries have doubling numbers of millionaires, umaangat yung yung kanilang upward mobility sa social ladder. Sa mga Pilipino, silat sila pa rin yung mga nasa ibabaw. Bihirang-bihira yung mga umaangat, okay? Unless ikaw ay nagmula sa pamilya ng mga mga politiko, no? O artistahin ka, doon may chance umangat yung social umangat yung social status mo. Magkaroon ka ng upward mobility when it comes to your social status. But the reality is there's not enough mechanism para paangatin yung karamihan ng mga Pilipino. Puro short-term plans na walang pangmatagalang plano para paangatin yung buhay ng nakararami. Because we can't erase poverty, that's the reality. However, we can do things para mabawasan yun. Sadly, when it comes to power as the dimension of poverty, makikita natin na kung sino lang talaga yung nakikinabang sa kapangyarihan. Then we have occupational prestige. Sinasabi dito na we commonly evaluate each other according to the kind of work we do, giving greater respect to those who do what we consider important work and less doing those who work with more modest job. Ibig sabihin, mataas ang tingin natin doon sa mga trabahong mataas yung pinag-aralan. That's the reality. Kahit alam natin na yung mga magsasaka, yung mga mangingisda, yung mga construction workers, kung tutusin sila yung backbone ng lipunan Tutusin sila yung mga backbone ng lipunan na ekonomiya. Hindi tatakbo pag wala sila. However, mababa ang tingin natin. Kasi nga, isang rason din, nabanggit sa akin ng isang student ko is, madumi yung kanilang line of work. Hindi natin binibigyan ng prestige yung mga trabaho na madudumihan ka. Gusto natin bigyan ng prestige yung mga trabaho na malinis, may label sa pangalan. Kaya gusto natin mapagtapos lahat Mapagtapos lahat. Kasi yung idea natin is pag nakapagtapos ka ng pag-aaral, makakaahon ka sa kahirapan. Well, yes, it's true. However, the reality is, in relation din mo i-discuss ko mamaya na causes ng poverty sa Pilipinas. The Philippines is not creating quality jobs para mapunan yung dami ng mga quality graduates na meron tayo. In any society, high prestige occupations goes to privileged categories of people because the reality is, para magkaroon ka ng prestigious na trabaho, kailangan mo ng edukasyon. At kung sino lang ba yung nagkakaroon ng access sa magagandang edukasyon, kalidad na edukasyon. Yung meron lang pribilehiyo, meron lang kapital in the first place. At yung mga wala, magtsatsaga sila sa kalidad na edukasyon na merong ino-offer ang public school. No offense po sa mga public school, hindi ko nilalahat. But the reality is, may mga schools talaga na outdated. Hindi nila kasalanan yun. But the reality is, hindi gumagawa ng paraan. Gumagawa ng paraan ng gobyerno para iangat yung level. Kung hindi pa nagkaroon ng pandemya, hindi pa marirealize ang tao na nung nasa gobyerno, sa kagawa ng edukasyon, na importante, na i-improve gawing 21st century yung level ng pag-aaral ng mga Pilipino. Regardless if you have negative feedback regarding online classes or blended learning, it will be the norm in the coming years. Nagkataon lang na paabilis, na paaga ngayon due to the pandemic. Similarly, lack of proper schooling in relation na rin sa mga sinabi ko kanina. Schooling affects both occupation and income. Since most, if not all, of the better paying white-collar jobs require a college degree or other advanced study. So, the reality is, we are lagging behind in terms of college student population. Siguro kaya, ginawa na rin free tuition, para at least iangat. Free tuition for state colleges, para iangat yung bilang. However, hindi naman kasi more on quantity din. It's about quality. Or balance rather ng quantity and quality. The sad thing is 33 out of every 100 Filipinos lamang ang nagkakaroon ng college education. Ang mas malungkot dito, pagkatapos natapos nilang mangarap na makapagtapos ng pag-aaral at sana maabot ang mga pangarap nila, most of them ay nagkakaroon ng job mismatch. Kasi nga, kulang ang mga gine-generate na trabaho ng ekonomiya, ng gobyerno, even foreign investments, no, to create more jobs na akma doon sa kung ano yung mga natatapos. Kaya marami sa atin ang umaalis. Karamihan sa mga nag-OFW ay nagtatrabaho for a job na hindi related sa kanilang undergraduate degree. I think, no, aware kayo sa ganyan. Maraming mga domestic helpers sa ibang bansa, Hong Kong, Spain, Britain, na yun, nakapagtapos sila ng pag-aaral dito for years. Pero pagdating doon, they're doing blue collar jobs, mga modest jobs, no? Because mababa yung level, wala na nga proper schooling, no? Mababa pa yung level na edukasyon na nakukuha mo sa Pilipinas. That's the sad reality. Not all schools, okay, mind you. Kaya yun nga masaklap eh. Pati yung kolehiyo ay meron pang specific na pribilehiyo kung sino lang yung may Big Four schools, UAP na schools, and so on. Similarly, ancestry. In developing countries such as the Philippines, the psychological experience of poverty is characterized by the impossibility of upward mobility. Yung mga taong lumaki sa hirap, dinadala nila yung karanasan na yun. Mentalidad na ganun, na hindi na sila makakabawi pa, makakabangon pa. Maswerte may mga success stories, pero nakakalungkot dito ay nagiging success stories na lang siya. Kwento ng iilan, hindi nagiging kwento ng nakararami. Because kung ikaw ay mahirap at papasok ka sa paaralan na gutom ka, wala kang kinain, paano ka lalaban? Paano ka makikipagsabayan sa mga klase mong nakakain? Paano ka maging aktibo sa loob ng klase kung walang laman ang tiyan mo at walang enerhiya mapasok sa katawan mo at sa utak mo? As such, leading to low productivity and hence repeating the cycle. The probability of repeating the cycle of poverty. Next is race and ethnicity. The thing with race and ethnicity is that sa Pilipinas hindi ganong, no offense, no, hindi ganong ka big deal ang konsepto ng race. But the thing is, when it comes to ethnicity, those who are Tagalog, no, living in the region 3, 4, 5, 4, and NCR, ay mas malaki yung chance na umangat magkaroon sila mas magandang buhay because they're closer to the center, same time closer to better opportunities, while those who are living in Mindanao, far-flung areas of Luzon in relation to Manila as the center, mas less yung chance nila na mas magkaroon ng mas magandang buhay because of opportunities. Okay? Kasi nakasentro lamang sa Maynila yung oportunidad or Metro Cebu or Metro Davao. Similarly, kung ikaw ay mula sa mga ethnic groups, Muslim ethnic groups, or even siguro mga indigenous groups sa Pilipinas, you're more likely to be poor compared to the dominant Tagalog, no? Tagalog, Filipinos, ethnicities na nakatira sa mainland Luzon. And that's the reality, no? Kaya mas maraming mahihirap ang galing sa Bisaya at sa Mindanao kasi mas condense lahat sa Metro Manila, Luzon primarily, yung majority ng opportunities for Filipinos. And isa pang dimension ng poverty is yung gender gap. Although sa Pilipinas, hindi ganun kalaki yung gender gap, maniwala kahit hindi. However, the thing is, kaya siguro hindi ganun kalaki dahil pare-pares na mababa yung standard of living for both men and women in the country. So what causes poverty? Sa Pilipinas meron daw 8 causes of poverty in the Philippines. According to sa 2008, 2009, sorry, na ADB, Asian Development Bank report on poverty in the Philippines. So poverty is one of the biggest social problems that humanity is facing. Thus, its root causes need to be identified. One common answer natin is corruption. History told us that this is not a new story. State gets its revenue from taxes which are coming from the masses, and the beneficiaries of the state gain from leaving the masses with nothing. That's the reality. However, may iba pa, no, mas concrete na causes ng poverty na mula sa pag-aaral ng Asian Development Bank. So ito yung 8, isa-isahin natin sila. low to moderate economic growth for the past 40 years. Take note, this study was conducted a decade ago. However, those 8 reasons of poverty in the Philippines remain relevant 10 years ang lumipas. Main reason why poverty reduction in the country has been slow compared to other countries, no, lalo ang Vietnam, is the failure of the economy to grow rapidly and generate quality employment in sectors with large number of poors. Because the reality is, while yes, meron tayong economic growth, hindi naman nararanasan ng lahat ng economic growth eh. It's just numbers. And those who are at the top, no, the elite, the oligarchs are the one basking dun sa lahat ng bunga ng 6 to 7% economic growth itong nagdaang dekada, 2010s. However, for us, na nasa baba, hindi natin ma-experience yung sinuturing nilang economic growth na iyan. Similarly, relatively low growth elasticity of poverty reduction. Ibig sabihin, our recent economic growth has been confined to a few sectors such as export-oriented, semiconductor industry, telecommunications, business process outsourcing, real estate, housing, and retail trade. Majority of which service sectors are supported by remittances from OFWs. Ang nagiging takbuhan ng mga karamihan para makaangat sa buhay ay maging overseas Filipino workers. Even that's my reality, no? Simula din kami sa hirap, kundi lang naging OFW ang aking ama, aking tatay, no? But the reality is, the government is not doing enough para bawasan yung kahirapan sa Pilipinas. At umasa tayo, no? While yes, merong grow sa some sectors, primarily industrial sectors ng Pilipinas, the thing is, kung gusto daw natin iangat ang Pilipinas sa kahirapan, kailangan nating pagyamanin yung agrikultura. O according to one of my professors in my MA, iangat natin yung agrikultura, iangat natin yung yung edukasyon, yung level ng edukasyon. Kasi yun yung mga bagay na magpapaangat ng intelektualidad for education at for agriculture and the fisheries. Yun yung backbone ng ekonomiya. Doon nagmumula yung raw materials, doon nagmumula yung yung pagkain kinakain natin. At yun yung pagpinangat natin ang agrikultura natin, which is what was done by other countries. They improved first their agriculture, such as Thailand and Indonesia and Malaysia, before they improve their manufacturing or industrial sector. Kasi ganun yung proseso, agrikultura muna bago yung industrial sector. However, sa atin, tumalon agad tayo sa manufacturing sector due to foreign direct investments. Nasilaw tayo sa foreign direct investments eh. Hindi napabayaan natin yung backbone ng ekonomiya natin. Kaya, hindi natin napapaangat or nababawasan yung kahirapan sa bansa. Similarly, weaknesses in employment generation and quality jobs generated. So, agriculture has been neglected in the past years. Lack of certain policies, inadequate infrastructure, and institutional weaknesses decrease investor interest in improving agricultural poverty. Lack of quality jobs due to highly dependent OFW remittance economy. Yun yung nakakalungkot eh. Double-edged sword pala, no? Ng pagtanggap ng OFW remittances is that the reality is masyado tayong umasa sa OFW remittances na kinalimutan natin na kaya nating maging sustainable as a country. Nakalimutan natin na kaya nating tumayo sa sariling nating mga paa dahil nakakakuha tayo ng tulong mula sa ibang mga bansa. The fastest growing job type is not permanent wage employment, but casual wage jobs. And wages and earning growth is weak for workers in general. Halos walang increase ng sweldo for the majority. Kahit patuloy sa pagtaas yung presyo ng mga bilihin. Similarly, episodes of food inflation increases the number of poor people dahil nga hindi makasabay yung sweldo nila sa pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin due to inflation, no? As rather, inflation brought about by various economic forces na hindi natin kayang pigilan, say pagtaas ng presyo ng langis and such. hindi nakakaabot, no? So, the poor are unable to afford rising food prices. Their only option is to reduce their spending on items such as healthcare and education. Dahil kailangan kumain, titigilan, pababayaan, or babawasan yung spending kung meron man para sa kanilang kalusugan at sa pag-aaral. Kasi mas importanteng may laman ng tiyan kaysa makapagpatapos ka ng pag-aaral. That's the reality. Maswerte na kung makatapos ng high school. Mas mabuti yung makakain. Mabuti yung may laman ng tiyan mo kaysa naman ipagpilitan mo ang isang bagay na hindi naman mangyayari. Next is failure to manage population growth. So various studies have shown that larger family size is associated with higher poverty incidence, gap, and severity. And kahit nagkaroon tayo ng RH law na naka-TRO, if not mistaken, wala eh. Nagpatuloy sa pagtaas yung populasyon ng Pilipinas, although tumigil siya, but I guess the pandemic, after post-pandemic, makikita natin na magkakaroon na naman tayo ng population boom. Okay? High population growth rates exacerbated the poor performance of the economy because of the rapid expansion of labor force. No? Bilis dumadami yung labor force, yung bilang ng mga workers, pwedeng maging workers, resulting in double-digit unemployment and underemployment rates during that period. At hindi nakakasabay yung dami ng mga trabahong lumalabas or quality jobs na na-generate ng gobyerno. So, instead na yung mga magiging future part ng workforce ay maging productive member, sila ay nagiging tambay. Sila ay dumadagdag sa growing unemployment rate. Next is high and persistent levels of inequality. Ito na yung nabanggit ko kanina. Inequality in terms of income, inequitable land distribution, and interregional and intra-regional inequality and the labor market. So sinasabi dito, welfare and human development vary widely across regions and provinces in the country. So, this particular inequality contributes to 82% of overall inequality. Thus, dapat mas ma-improve, no? Mas ma-improve yung inequality in terms of region. Na dapat pare-parehas na umaangat. Kung may growth or economic growth, hindi lang dapat Luzon na nakikinabang, kundi pati Visayas at Mindanao. Seventh, regular shocks and exposures to risk, such as long-running conflicts, no, armed conflicts with terrorist groups or leftist groups can hinder or promote prolonged poverty. Similarly, so such as with CPP, NPA, and Abu Sayyaf, natural disasters and environmental poverty, because Philippines is in 2018 second most affected country when it comes to weather related losses. Yun yung masaklap na katotohanan na tayo ay nasa isang lugar na lapitin ng natural disaster. Similarly, environmental poverty in a way that where tayo mga yung itsura ng Pilipinas ay dahil hiwa-hiwalay na mga kapuluan, mas mahal yung gastos para i-transport yung goods at mas mabagal yung response lalo pag nagkaroon ng mga natural disasters. Kaya wag kayong magdakong bakit nasa Luzon lang yung development, kasi mas mabilis yung movement, logistics sa Luzon dahil isang mahabang kapuluan siya compared sa Visayas and even Mindanao. Okay? Although sa Mindanao, ang number one reason is, alam natin na yung long-running conflicts, despite it being a rich region in terms of resources. And lastly, economic crisis increased the number of poor people. Economic crisis such as Asian economic crisis noong 2008, or global economic crisis, gaya ng nangyayari sa atin ngayon, the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. And the sad reality is, if the government will not be doing its full mandate to protect, not necessarily protect, but to take care of the welfare of its citizen, yung mga nabanggit kong ito na mga rason kung bakit may kahirapan ay mananatiling mga rason pa rin kung bakit may kahirapan. Bukod sa corruption, hindi tamang pag-allocate ng funds, hindi nagkakaroon ng long-term plans ang gobyerno para, no, para panatilihin or iangat yung buhay ng mga tao mula dun sa mga kahirapan na kinakasadlakan nila.